Painful sex is really complicated. It took me about 10 years to actually figure out what was going on. During that time, I mustered up the confidence annually to ask my gynecologists about my body and tell them about the pain that I was experiencing, and each time I mentioned it, they dismissed my concerns and really indicated that the problems that I were experiencing were problems of my own and not theirs for them to help solve, which is really discouraging considering that painful sex isn't just a physical experience, it's also an emotional one. I spent a lot of time blaming myself. You know, each time sex hurt, it was kind of just like this painful reminder that I wasn't the sexual partner that I wanted to be. I wasn't as confident as I identified myself to be outside of the bedroom. And that cumulatively is really, it's very character changing. The current kind of doctor that I see, and the one kind of doctor who initially diagnosed me, was a pelvic floor physical therapist. And I had no idea what that was until very recently. Physical therapy for the rest of your body is clearly available, and not a big deal to go see, but pelvic physical therapy for your vagina is a whole other story. Meanwhile, in France, there's a period of time after you give birth to a baby that you have, I think it's like, I don't know exactly how much time, you get X amount of time with a pelvic floor physical therapist after you have a baby. It's like built into their health system, which is unbelievable. Before seeking treatment, again, yeah, I wish I had known how common painful sex is. It turns out 75% of women will have painful sex in their lifetime, and in one particular study, they reported that a third of women actually experienced pain during the most recent time that they had sex. A third of women in their most recent sexual experience, and about half of those women didn't even say anything to their partner. I'd say one of the hardest parts about painful sex is talking about it. And it's one thing to speak up to friends, it's another to speak up to family, but and then it's actually even another to speak up to a partner. I found that one of the hardest things, because my condition wasn't recognized medically, I didn't want to be perceived as a complainer. I didn't want to ruin the moment. So I never really spoke up to my partners when sex was uncomfortable for me, which is really, it's really hard for me to accept that now. But at the same time, it's actually now still very much a habit that I'm trying to break. I would explain the pain that I feel during sex as like it's like a kind of a punching feeling. Vulvodynia is a particular category of that includes pain that might be experienced during sex. Vulvodynia is very much like a burning or a soreness at the entry of the vagina around the vulvar area, and that can be compounded by a lot of other conditions. Mine in particular is called deep dyspareunia. Dyspareunia means pain during intercourse, and deep means that it's deeper in the pelvic floor. So when there's kind of impact with the cervix, there's this like immediate localized punching feeling, and then it just causes strain around the surrounding area. So it hurts a little bit. It's like there's like a throbbing sensation after sex as well that could last for a couple hours. But I would say that the most challenging aspect of it, again, is speaking up to a partner. I'd say like the biggest win that I've had with my current relationship is that my partner is as much of an advocate for myself as I am. So whereas I've been conditioned not to speak up, he oftentimes asks me during sex, like, how's it going? Does this feel good? Like, is this too much? Or like, let's try it like this. And every time he brings up kind of this supportive, vote of encouragement or suggestion, it's received with absolute appreciation and the sense of relaxation as well. It's just so nice to know that that we're both looking out for me. So if I could offer advice, it would just be really to create a space within a partnership where feedback is okay and it's not threatening. You know, if sex hurts, it doesn't mean, like, if I tell my partner, like, ow, this hurts, like, he knows that it's his fault. But he also can be a part of the solution as well. So it's this wonderful kind of dance of discussion to really figure out what's working, and then when you get there, you can really just kind of turn the brain off and go. One of the things that I use to actually help with that is this little product. It's called Ohnut, O-H-N-U-T, like a donut, and it's like super squishy and stretchy and all the fun things. But it helps to actually control the depth of penetration, because depth is the challenge for me. So it's worn at the base of the shaft and it acts like a buffer, like this. So it's like it compresses down and it allows you to control the depth of penetration. But what it also does is it comes apart. So you can literally stack however much you want to control how deep a partner goes with whatever it is that they're penetrating with. And it can be used with lubrication. It has to be used with lubrication, which is just a really nice thing to engage with the partner. And it helps my partner also know, like, how deep is too deep, because he actually has a measurement now, which is really great. And it feels exactly the same for him, and it feels so much better for me, because not only are you actually creating a more comfortable series of positions, but you're able to access a part of your pelvic floor that feels really good. And when we're both able to trust that our communication is landing us in an honest place, and then again, when we can let go, that's really when the intimacy, that's when the emotional and the physical just kind of hybrid together and create a really a much bigger experience than either one of those things independently, if one of them is broken. If I would say that if you just got a diagnosis, congratulations. Like, it's so exciting, because it's so hard to talk about painful sex, like, to anybody. And getting a diagnosis means that you were able to communicate what was going on with your body. You found a doctor that was receptive to listening to you, and you actually followed through to take the steps to find answers. I will say, for me, it took me like 10 years to actually respect myself enough to pursue a diagnosis, because in a way I was scared to find out what was wrong. But getting a diagnosis is the beginning of a new, it's a beginning. It means that there's a name for this thing, that it's not your fault. It means that you can try out different, different techniques, different, communication styles. And it also means that you have a community. There are so many online communities that are so loving and supportive and helpful, and it really makes a huge impact to know that. It made a huge impact for me to know that I wasn't alone. And in talking about it with so many other people, like, having the words to explain what it is that you're feeling or the name of the condition that you have, it just gives you access to relate to other people in a way that they might not be confident enough to express themselves. So I've met so many wonderful people now that I feel confident enough talking about my body, and people of all genders are so eager to learn and to help, and it's been a really exciting kind of experience to be open about this kind of thing. I will say that the main kind of like resources that I lean on, like Ohnut is really wonderful. O-H-N-U-T, like a donut. It's been a communication tool as much as it has been a physical one. And then this book here, it's called Heal Pelvic Pain by Amy Stein, who's a phenomenal pelvic floor physical therapist. And physical therapy, pelvic floor physical therapy, is absolutely worth looking into. A lot of times it might be geographically or financially inaccessible. So what this book does is it just offers an immense education about the pelvic floor, and then it offers a lot of DIY kind of at-home self-advocacy exercises that you can do on your own. and with a partner as well. So there's a lot of education that comes with it, and it's a foundation for, for kind of taking a lot of choices into your own hands without having to choose any overly like medical or invasive options, which just feels kind of safe and very in control. So yeah, I just want to say that it's hard to wrestle with painful sex, but knowing that my core is still me, and that there are people who don't judge me for a single second because of it, including my partner. And in fact, it actually just makes us closer, because now we have all these awesome ways of communicating about what feels good. So, yeah, thanks.